Every time I say, welcome to this new module, yet interesting. So there's a reason behind it as well. So every module, as we go deeper into this, every module, every section of this entire program is going to be better and better, deeper and deeper. And now that PPT part is all gone. Now you are seeing that, okay, this is the core section, and let me tell you, the initial, building up of this entire story, building up of this entire program was also required. To give you the perspective of the data, that was also required. And here, as you see, we will talk about business. We will talk about business data. We will talk about real data. The link that I showed you, or the link that I will be sharing you with this program also, this is an open link. This is from Microsoft. So which means that it is not a made up data. So you can also go and then open this. If you are able to open this link, and if you can see the data, which means that this is live data, you are actually hitting the database of Microsoft Northwind. Similarly, with like Northwind, we have AdventureWorks, and then we have Contoso as well. So if you want to do similar kind of activities with some kind of, let's say, manufacturing data, or let's say advanced ERP systems, or e-commerce kind of thing, then you go with AdventureWorks. And if you feel that, okay, I want to do something on the CRM side, customer side, and relationship management side, then you have Contoso. We have chosen Northwind because it is the smallest and the purest form of ERP data. We thought that we will be able to do something with non-Excel data. Believe me, when we go to the capstone, we will also see how you can work with Excel data as well. So I will not deprive you from saying that, okay, we will be just only working with non-Excel data. We will take Excel data also. We will take JSON data also. So what are the different types of data sources that we are going to take in this particular section? Let's have a look at that. So as you can see, this is actually, we are touching the database, and we are touching a database using an API. And this exactly thing is nothing but related to OData, and we will be also looking at JSON files as well. So quickly, without wasting any further time, let's go back to our Northwind data and see what the sales performance Power BI is talking about. So here we are going back to Power BI. So the first thing that we are going to do is to identify what kind of quality or what kind of quantity this data is talking about. So the first part would be, the first segment would be over here, is to actually convert and understand the data and divide it into something called measures and dimensions. These are actually the building blocks. We will talk about dimensions and we will talk about facts also. So three pillars are there: dimension, fact, as well as measures. So in this particular segment, we will talk about how to convert them into facts and dimensions. Now, anything that talks about quality of data will be called as a dimension. Anything where we are talking about transactions, anything where we are talking about day-to-day transactions, or let's say quantitative data, we are going to call them as facts. Now, we do it together. So if you talk from the perspective of categories, the first table, so you can see that there is no quantity that is being talked about here. When I say quantity, I'm very specific about transactions. We don't see any transactions over here. So just like that, we can say that, okay, this is actually a dimension. And then what we do is actually we convert this and just add a prefix into it called dim. This is my way of doing. You can actually suggest some other concepts as well. So by just pressing enter over here with the dim categories, so I'm saying that this is a dimension. Dimension means that, okay, things are not going to change so faster, and this becomes an integral part of the KPIs as well when you say slicing and dicing. So please remember, when you build up the KPIs, when you actually build up a story, the first part would be your fact, definitely, which will be used for aggregation. So suppose if you say that, okay, I need the sum or the total or the average or the minimum or the maximum of any data or aggregation, that you do on fact. But then if you say that, okay, for this fact, for this summation, for this aggregation, I need to slice and dice this data, in that case you need to come back to the dimensions only, right? So we will see deeper and we will go deeper into this particular data, but for the time being we go to customers, And we see that customers is also not talking about any transactions. So immediately we take a decision, call it as a dimension. So we say dim customers. Dim categories, dim customers. We'll come back to the orders in a short while, but we see that products is also the same. It might be a bit confusing. You might think that, okay, there are numbers over here, then why are we calling it as dimension? Please understand, we are talking about type of product. We are not talking about any transactions over here. We are talking about the type of product. So when I say products table, it is actually defining a product. It is actually telling the quality of the product. So just like that, you convert that into a dimension. So we call it as dim products. So the more you practice, the more confident you will become converting these tables into dimensions and facts. And believe me, this is the building block. If you are able to convert a data into dimension and fact, you have done at least 50% of the work, right? Same goes with suppliers also. If you see, we do not have any transactions over here. This table is talking about the supplier. This is not talking about any transactions being done with the suppliers. So we just go and say dim underscore suppliers. Now we have got all the dimensions in place. Now we will have a look at how a fact looks like. So the first fact, if I just go to the orders table, just directly you can tell that, okay, it has got some date, it has got some transactions. So definitely it is not a dimension and it is going to be a fact. So we call it as fact. So this is fact. And then finally, if you talk from the order details perspective, this is also transaction. This is pure transactions that are there. So almost around 2000, more than 2155 records are there, which is just talking about the orders and the details and other things. So what we do is we call, or we actually name it as fact. So finally what we have done is we have just segmented the data. We say dimension and fact, and now we are actually ready for the next phase. The next phase is actually to build up the measures. So where we will be learning about the data analysis expressions. But before that, when we talk about data analysis expressions, we would need a container over here. So let me just show you how to build your own table also over here, or a container primarily. Why are we making this container? We will definitely get a look when we go to the next segment, which is the next module, where we will talk about the data analysis expressions. But for the time being, we create a new small component. We just go to home menu, and then we will see there is an option which says create a new table by entering data. We click on this, and then we just name it as underscore measures. We simply say underscore measures and say load. There's a reason behind saying it as underscore. You can call it anything. You can call it by your name also, but I would say the way this is maintained is, you know that, okay, all these tables are actually sorted in alphabetical order. Now imagine you have got 100 tables over here, and if you just call it as measures or you call it with your name, that will create confusions. So M in the series of ABCD will go down, and if you have hundreds of tables, then identifying where is measures will be a difficult task. So that's why we are just giving it as underscore measure. There is no other rule that it has to be underscore or it has to be measures. Please mark my words. So you can give anything, but for making sense, that is whatever we have done right now in this module is to make sense of this entire model that we have prepared. So the cleanup is done, the model is prepared, data is converted, or the tables are converted into facts and dimensions, and then we have just created a small container for the measures. So that is what we wanted to achieve in this particular segment. And coming up next is our Mundus Nervus, and this is what we will talk about, what not to do while wrangling the data. So we say that, okay, don't squeeze your data too much that it tells what you want the data to tell. That's what we are going to see in the next module. Until then, thank you. Have a nice day.